Non-virgins of Reddit, how did you lose your virginity for the first time, and what's something you wish you knew beforehand? With the neighbor girl while we were out effing around in an abandoned mansion in the woods by where I grew up. We went out with a group of kids, we were 15 or 16 at the time, from the neighborhood, and it kinda just happened. I don't think anyone was planning on getting laid that night, much less my virgin donkey. Best frantic, fumbling couple seconds of my life to that point. As far as what I wish I knew? Fellas, the first time you go to enter the secret garden, so to speak, it's slower than you think it will be. Take that for what it is. Haha, that's great advice at the end. The actual vaginal opening is definitely not quite where I expected, which was basically right under the clit. It's like a good couple inches, depending on the girl to be exact, lower than where I initially was trying to put myself. I've posted this before, but in a dorm room, freshman year of college. I was 19. She asked me to walk her home, asked me inside, then proceeded to tear my clothes off and ride me like a mechanical bull. I figured out I just had sex about 10 minutes later. I wish I knew that option was on the table. I was hoping for a hug, maybe a goodnight kiss. Had the sort of no clue that only a goofy young kid can have. As a 18-year-old freshman, while having sex for the first time, I came inside of her because I had a condom on, which I didn't realize had broken during the process. And she was sick with strep throat at the time, which its medicine counteracted her birth control to some extent. Moral of the story, pull out kids. Well, I was 16 and really drunk one night on the beach in Australia, and all our friends had left, and so me and a girl just kinda started doing stuff, then had sex, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but definitely an odd experience as I was pissed out of my head at the time. Edit, no condom either, just sand. My first attempt at losing my virginity. I had my first try with a girl I really didn't like and wasn't attracted to, but I was so nervous I couldn't get it up. It was a totally embarrassing failure. A few weeks later I told my longtime female friend, literally the girl next door, the story about it. She was really interested in all of the details. A few days later she said she had been thinking about it and she wanted to try sex. She asked me to try it with her. Success. We're still great friends decades later. Close friend said, I'm going to fuck you. And she did. I wish I had known to hydrate before. Care to elaborate to us virgins? It can be physically taxing, so bring something to drink. Water or Gatorade should do. I wish I knew how little it mattered in the grand scheme of things. Being an anxious, high-strung teenager, I really blew it out of proportion. Of all of the experiences in my life, that one was a tiny blip. Sex for the first time was similar to getting my first dental cleaning. Important for later health and well-being? Yes. Super memorable and beautiful? No. A general rule of thumb, people who harass you for being a virgin generally are the ones who will peak in high school. 18-year-old with my then GF of the same age. I'm not sure what I should count as the first time, because we tried a first time and I could never get in. I don't remember how we ended this time. A few days later we tried again and it worked. Apart from that, we were responsible and waited to have condoms before trying. I think having had decent sex ed, being both understanding of the other and sure we wanted to do it helped a lot for it to be a good experience. I wish I would have known that I wasn't immune to queefing just because it was my first time. I tell my wife that's her vagina talking back saying she likes it. How can you lose your virginity a second time, mate? Alzheimer's. Okay, but how can you lose your virginity a second time? You're on the right track. It was actually a really healthy experience, but remember to get the supermarket people to take the condoms out of the security box before leaving. I spent a good amount of time using pliers to break it open. Extra strong condoms stop feeling completely. Where you getting condoms that are in security boxes? 16 years old, it was awkward and uncomfortable. In reality, neither of us enjoyed it. I wish I knew how uncomfortable the first time would actually be. Fast forward 8 years and we're married, so it's not all bad. I think usually the first time would be awkward and uncomfortable because of how much people, especially teenagers, build sex up to be way more than it is. Going in with high expectations is a surefire way to be disappointed and somewhat confused about the whole experience as a first time. 17. Honestly, I wish I knew to move my hips better. My humping was so stiff and awkward, but it was my first time, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Now every now and then, I'll get complimented on my stroke game. It's even better when there's music playing in the background and I can match my humps to the rhythm of the song. It's like playing DDR and having sex at the same time, and the girls enjoy to like it also. It was with my ex-fiance of 5 years. 3 months after we left school and college, he asked me to be his girlfriend. About 4 to 6 months in the relationship, we wanted to have sex and make sure we were ready. We were both virgins, so we had no idea how to put a condom on. It was awkward for half an hour. Know how to put a condom on properly beforehand. Important side note, if you put it on the wrong way, inside out, don't turn it around and use it. Throw it away and take a new one. You don't want to get pregnant by pre-cum. In a car, we were 17 and 18 at the time, so we still both lived at home. With parents and siblings around at all times, car sex was the only convenient option. It was a while before I actually got to have sex in a bed. My advice is to not lose it in a car. It can be extremely awkward, uncomfortable, and you're limited in what you can do. This is especially true if you're on the taller side. I should also mention that she was a virgin as well, so it was a bloody car experience the first time, which made it end much quicker than I wanted. While car sex is better than no sex, I highly recommend you wait the first time until you have access or a bed, or even a couch. I went to my boyfriend's house for the first time and we were cuddling on his bed. He says he wasn't really planning on doing anything, but when I started to kiss him he couldn't help it, which was my plan. Wish I knew about UTIs. It was actually pretty good and enjoyable for both of us. We were both 16-year-old virgins. I was a pretty clueless teenager given this was the early stages of the internet, but she was the real reason it was enjoyable. I guess it was kind of Hollywood. We both went to her room while her parents were out, made sure both of us were as comfortable as we could be. I gave her a naked massage, and then I explored her body and listened to her actions. I learned she had been doing Kegel exercises for a few years by then, and she learned that all the guitar I played had other benefits. We also discovered that she was allergic to latex afterwards, though. Ends up it was hereditary. Her mum was also pretty cool about it, so overall 10/10 would do it again. So, in the bucket of things that I wish I knew beforehand, the latex allergy. Don't do it drunk, it'll be even more awkward and uncomfortable, and sometimes, the little soldier won't even stand to attention. I had mine at the age of 21, with a hookup through Tinder. I'm not proud of it, and wish I could make it unhappened. But I just wanted to know how it feels. At 17, with my still current boyfriend, I'm now almost 20 now. It was amazing. It all happened right. But here's a tip I actually saw online. Before doing it, for girls, relax your whole body, like that you won't feel that initial pain for more than 2 seconds. Oh, and make sure you're with the right person. Do it out of love, not just curiosity. Lost my virginity at 16 years old during a thick cloud of smoke from weed while the Grateful Dead played in the background. I don't really have any regrets on it, but I was brought up Southern Baptist where you were damned to hell for doing anything that felt good, and so they constantly preached about sex before marriage being awful, and that your virginity was sacred. I wish that I had never listened to that, because I carried around a lot of guilt after it happened for a while. I left the church and religion about 15 years ago, and never looked back, so now I look on that experience fondly, and with a lot of nostalgia. What's something you wish you knew before your first time? Leave it in the comments section below.